The people who succeed aren't lucky. They're the ones who commit to the process and never stop showing up. I notice how often we treat success like it's some mad phenomenon, something that only a handful of people can ever reach. We look at those who made it and we assume they just got lucky. Or maybe they possess some sort of innate genius that we don't have. But if you actually study their stories, a clear pattern emerges. There's an element of perseverance, persistence, a refusal to quit, and a daily dedication to their craft. It's not about a quick breakthrough or winning some sort of lottery. It's about consistently showing up, day in and day out, nurturing whatever seed of talent or opportunity they started with. And over time, that seed grows into something we recognize as success. It's weird, but bear with me. I like to compare it to planting a rose. Imagine I hand you a seed and say, plant this seed in healthy soil, water it regularly, and make sure it gets sunlight. You'd have no reason to doubt me. You'd know that as long as you do your part, the seed will naturally fulfill its purpose. And that's how success works. You have a seed, which is your talent, your passion, your idea. And if you cultivate it properly, it will sprout and flourish. And a lot of the time it will become bigger and more beautiful than you could ever imagine. Yet so many of us get stuck because we expect quick results. If the seed doesn't break through the surface in a day, we start panicking, second guessing ourselves. And in this day and age of instant gratification, slow progress can feel like a failure. But actually think about how nature operates. Most seeds spend time underground before they show any signs of life. We don't remove the soil every morning to check if they sprouted. We simply trust the process. And in that same way, you may need weeks or even months of practice, years of practice, work, study, to see any results. But the key isn't to give up just because you don't see immediate signs of growth. Now, consistency might be the single most underrated superpower we have. We live in a world that celebrates big wins, viral moments, but rarely do we shine a light on the small, steady actions that actually lead to those breakthroughs. It's similar to watering your rose seed. If you only water it once a week, or you do it whenever you feel like, the plant won't get the nourishment it needs. In your personal journey, doing the work when you're in the mood or when it's convenient, you end up getting patchy progress. Because true growth comes from those daily habits. Whenever you tell yourself, I'm committed to this, I'm going to do it. So picture yourself in a year's time, looking back on the last year. If you've been nurturing your seed consistently, you'll have evidence of a real transformation. It might be a new skill, a completed project, a growing business that started from a simple idea. But on the flip side, if you do nothing, you'd have that same seed sitting in a drawer, unplanted, with no growth to show for it. The difference is entirely whether you took those daily steps or not. I want you to look at the stories of people who truly inspire you. Whether they're writers, dancers, chefs, coders, entrepreneurs, you'll always find a backstory of consistent effort. A best-selling author might have been writing 500 words a day for years before landing a deal. A successful startup founder might have been doing all-nighters, living on ramen noodles for years before finding the right investors. These achievements appear miraculous from the outside, but they're really just a sum of repeated actions taken over a long period of time. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, what if I do all the right things and still fail? Think again about that rose seed. If you genuinely give it the sunlight, water, and attention it needs, failure is unlikely. Now, of course, you can't expect a lily from a rose seed, but you can expect a healthy rose. So if you keep showing up day in and day out, putting in the work, putting in the graft, learning from your mistakes, you may not end up exactly where you envision, but I can guarantee that you'll be further along. And usually when you grow, you start seeing new opportunities branch out. Now, when I talk about consistency, I don't mean you have to spend 5 hours a day working. It may just mean you focus for 30 minutes to an hour, but every single day. If you're a musician, you could commit to writing 1 verse a day. If you're an athlete, you could do some sort of training or conditioning. The point is, these small regular deposits add up and compound. It's like a slow drip investment into your future. All those efforts you put in. So even though you may not see immediate success, what you're doing is you're sharpening your sword. Day after day, you're getting better. You're going to have days where life hits you hard. Maybe you're dealing with family stuff, work stress, unexpected emergencies. On those days, it's easy to say, I can't do this right now. Just forget about your seed. You can do that another day. But I want you to remember, a small action is better than none. So make sure you apply a few drops of water to keep that soil from drying out. You'll find that you see the most growth on these days as well, when you don't want to do it. And you've got every excuse not to do it, but you push through and do it anyway. So if you can't do a full routine, try doing a micro version. You can't write 500 words, do 50. Can't do an hour exercise, do 10 minutes. Do whatever you need to do, but keep that momentum going. Remind yourself and your seed that you haven't given up. Because as soon as you stop that momentum, it's hard to get back in the routine. Now let's talk about faith. Now, faith doesn't have to be purely spiritual. It can simply be the belief that your efforts will amount to something worthwhile. Much like trusting that seed. Trust that your efforts will manifest in success. If you remain consistent, it's acknowledging that growth is taking place even when you can't see it. Sometimes discouragement is the biggest enemy of faith. You may think, I've been at this for months, still not taking off. I'm still in the same place. But while you may not have taken off yet, what you're doing is laying down the roots. You're building your foundation to what your success will be built on. Now, I've had personal experiences where I poured effort into something, like trying to improve my public speaking. I saw no immediate growth. But then almost out of nowhere, I'd have a breakthrough moment. Suddenly the nerves that made me feel like I was shaking externally just disappeared. And that didn't happen because of a one-time eureka moment. It happened because I spent countless hours practicing, pushing myself outside my comfort zone, working on my craft, even when I couldn't see the payoff. Now, another aspect to consider is your environment. A seed can't grow in a toxic soil, no matter how much you water it. Similarly, if you're surrounded by consistent negativity, people who belittle your goals, people who don't believe in you, environments that distract you, it can stunt your growth. Sometimes in order to grow, you need to create a healthy ecosystem. It might mean joining a supportive community, finding a mentor, or setting boundaries with people who consistently undermine your efforts. Now, it's important to celebrate small victories. When you start to see progress, remember to get excited. Too often we wait for the final bloom to acknowledge our successes. But each milestone is a testament to your consistency and faith. If you're learning to code and you finally figure out how to solve a difficult programming challenge, celebrate that win. If you're training for a marathon and you surpassed your personal best, give yourself credit. These small celebrations help you reinforce the habit of consistency because it's a clear reminder that your growth is tangible. Something else that's important and something that I've been practicing for the last few years is visualizing your future. Picture the life you want to live in. Picture the achievements you want to accomplish. Maybe you say by the end of 2025, I'll be able to quit my job. Or maybe it's, I would have finished writing my book. Whatever it is, this vision can be one of the most powerful motivators that you'll ever have. And in those moments of struggle, when you're doubting yourself, think of that end goal. Remember why you're on this journey. And understand that growth isn't always linear. Plants can have growth spurts followed by periods where they seem to plateau and stay the same. You might experience something similar. 1 month you learn a new language, picking up vocabulary at a crazy pace. The next you seem stuck on grammar rules that don't make sense. But this plateau isn't evidence of failure, it's part of the natural cycle of growth. Your seed might be redirecting energy to develop deeper roots. And then it's going to spurt again. Patience is essential here. And it's hard, but patience is essential. And in terms of mindset, it helps to replace the fear of failure with curiosity. Instead of asking, what if I fail at this? Try asking, what if this becomes something bigger than I ever imagined? The shift from fear to curiosity can free you from the worry, free you from the doubt that often holds us back. Rather than focusing on the worst case scenarios, you start looking at the possibilities and lessons that could emerge from each step you take. Then there's a question of accountability. Some people thrive on self-discipline alone, but most of us benefit from sharing our goals with a friend, a coach, a community that can hold us accountable. If you're trying to write a book, for instance, you could join a writer's group or partner with a friend who's also writing. You could check in with each other, celebrate each other's progress, and offer constructive feedback. Me and one of my friends are doing this right now, challenging each other to post consistently for 30 days. Having someone who expects you to water your seed on a regular basis and someone who will hold you accountable if you don't can be a massive motivator. And remember, there's a difference between being flexible and being inconsistent. Flexibility means adjusting your approach or your timeline when things in life change. Inconsistency means abandoning your routine altogether. A seed can handle a bit of shifting around as long as you're making sure it gets water, making sure it gets sunlight. But if you neglect it entirely, you can't be surprised when it doesn't grow. So be kind to yourself on the days when you don't meet all your goals. But never lose sight of why you're on this journey in the first place. Sometimes people ask, what if I'm not good enough? That's where self-belief comes in. If you truly believe and you're passionate about something, maybe it's a startup idea, a creative skill, personal development goal, then it's worth nurturing. Maybe it won't turn out into exactly what you imagined, but it could also be to turn into something else, turn into something bigger. I've seen people who started one business only to pivot into another halfway through, eventually finding success in a field they never expected. The initial seed still led them to where they needed to go. Just look at Bezos and Amazon. Started as a flipping bookstore. And now I get about 8 parcels a week. I genuinely have a problem. That's another story. Now think of the many personal transformations that started with a simple, unwavering commitment. Someone decides to lose 10 kg over a year, develops not just a better fitness, but a whole new confidence, lifestyle. Another person who sets out to learn software ends up discovering a love for tech entrepreneurship. The seed you start with can evolve into a garden of possibilities as long as you commit to watering it regularly. In a year's time, you could be sitting among a whole load of roses, can't even get my words out. Various goals you nurtured that have blossomed. Each plant might differ. One could represent a skill you fully developed. Another a side hustle that took off. And yet another could be an improvement in your relationships or well-being. The point is that your garden of achievements didn't magically appear. You planted the seeds and consistently gave them what they needed. In the end, success really does become predictable when you just trust the process. This doesn't mean it's not easy. It's always easy because it's not. You might face storms, disappointments, setbacks, rejections, but storms are part of life. They don't have to destroy your seed if you've taken the care to plant it firmly. Sometimes the storm might even help. Adding more moisture or clearing out the distractions, teaching you resilience along the way. And that brings me to my final point. Resilience. When you trust that your consistent actions will lead to growth, you become more resilient in the face of challenges. You don't uproot the seed at the first sign of difficulty. You shield it, reinforce it, wait for the storm to pass. Every challenge you face and you overcome, it becomes part of the story, just another chapter in your book. People might say, wow, you got here so fast, you're so lucky. But you know it wasn't fast or easy. It was a product of steady, faithful nurturing over time. Now I want to thank you for taking this journey with me. If there's one idea I want you to walk away with, it's that you hold a seed, your own unique gift, ambition, skill. You don't have to know every detail of how it will grow, only that it can grow, as long as you provide it with consistent effort, daily faith, and a nurturing environment. Each day is a chance to water it, give it sunlight, and protect it from the weeds of doubt. So when you look towards the future, don't let the clock tick away. Plant it, water it, trust it, because you never know how tall it might grow or how brightly it might bloom. One day you could find yourself standing in a beautiful field of roses, your projects, your skills, your dreams, all because you embraced the simple power of consistency. In short, your success is already in motion. Keep watering, keep believing, and remember, just like a rose seed, your potential is meant to break through the surface and reach for the sky. All you have to do is show up for it, day after day, with faith and persistent effort. That's how success stops being a mystery and becomes something you can count on. Peace. And I'm sorry for all those roads analogies, there was a lot.